Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm actually really excited for today's video because as you can see by the title, we're going to be doing a full face of dupes versus a full face of high-end makeup. I have been planning this for the longest time and just never got around to it. So I'm going to be putting the high-end version on this side and then the dupe of it on this side of my face. I just want to jump straight into it. So firstly, we're going to go in with the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. I love this primer, but the dupe of it is the She Glam Good Grip Primer. So I'm going to do this one first. This is obviously a very viral product. Come on. Oh no, this is a great start. There we go. This is a very viral product and I feel like every single brand has done a dupe version of this. And it was kind of a struggle trying to decide which dupe to use. However, the reason I landed on this one is because the packaging is so similar. Like obviously they did the e.l.f. dupe and they've done so many since that have duped the e.l.f. However, the packaging of these two were just too similar not to use. And then we get this one out. The colour's definitely different. This has got more of a green tint to it, whereas the other one is pretty clear. I'd say the consistency of them is very similar. The She Glam one is slightly more, not watery, but slightly more liquidy, rather than the original Milk seems to be that little bit thicker. While I'm applying it, I've noticed that the She Glam one has got tackier a lot faster, but this one has definitely started to sink into the skin really nicely. So instead of concealer, I'm going to use an under eye brightener today, and these two are so similar that I really want to test them against each other. So the original is the Rare Beauty. This is their under eye brightener in the shade light to medium. And then the dupe we're going to test is the Skin Silk Under Eye Brightener from Revolution. And this is in the shade medium yellow. I do think it's going to be more yellowy than this one. However, it's more about performance based than the actual shades, if that makes sense. If we quickly have a look at the wands, they're both metal. However, the Rare Beauty one is more of a ball on the end, whereas the Revolution one is like a ball with a flat side to it. So they are very similar. I'm going to start off with the Rare Beauty here. I feel like they actually pick up a fair amount of product to say that it's a metal applicator. And then I'm going to go in with the Revolution on this side. Like the colour difference isn't too drastic. Like I said, this one is a little bit warmer, a little bit more of a yellow tone in there. The actual consistency of both products is very similar because they are both rather thin. But I want to blend them in and see how they compare. So going in with the Rare Beauty first. When I wear one of these, I don't always feel like I need to wear concealer because it does help to brighten the under eyes. So that is how the Rare Beauty one's looking. It's really helped like correct the under eye without looking too thick or cakey. And then let's go in with the Revolution. I feel like the shades are very similar. Like if you saw me in the street, you wouldn't think I'm wearing two different under eye products there. They look really similar and they're both very dewy. I thought I blended out really nicely. Yeah, I'd definitely say those two are dupes. Moving on to my base, I've never seen anyone compare these two products, but they are such a good dupe for each other. So this one is the Glossier Stretch Fluid Foundation compared to the Maybelline Superstay Foundation. These are both heavily skincare infused. They're both more serum foundations with a nice bit of coverage. And I think they're very similar products. This is a quick side-by-side swatch of the products and they look so similar. Even swatching them, they felt really similar in the formula. So I've just put a little bit of the Glossier one onto the back of my hand there. I'm just going to start to apply this. I'd say that the shades are very similar. But I think the Glossier one is slightly warmer. But the Maybelline one has got a slightly more yellow tone to it. But they are just so similar. It is crazy. I was originally going to compare the Glossier one to my Revolution Skin Silk one. However, I just couldn't find a shade that matched close enough. But these two are really similar. Like even on the skin there you can tell they are really similar. So I'm going to blend these out. I'm going to start with this side. And they blend out so easily. It's got a really nice kind of like dewy finish as this foundation. And on my forehead. So that is how the glossier one's looking. You can see that healthy kind of look there with that bit of glow. And now I'm going to blend in the other side. Now that's all blended in, you can't tell me that looks like I'm wearing two different products. Like, they are so similar. If anything, this one's slightly warmer with a little bit better coverage, but with the rest of my makeup on, you would not be able to tell I'm wearing two different products. I don't think you can now, to be fair, and they are so similar. I just think the price point is absolutely huge, like £13 compared to $34, sorry, is crazy. But yeah, I think they're so similar. I do think that's the closest dupe foundation I've probably ever found. When it came to choosing a bronzer for this video, I really struggled because I feel like I have so many different bronzing dupes. I couldn't decide which to go for. But I ended up going for these two. So we've got the Jordana Tisha Bronzing Duo, and we have this one from Primark, which is a Bronzing Whip. I don't know if this actually has a shade on it. The shade range for this was absolutely horrific, like it was literally non-existent. However, this one is in the shade So Yacht. I will touch on something really quickly. This is a duo, however this is just the cream. And today I'm literally just comparing the cream products against each other. We're just going to ignore the fact that the powder on this exists. I'm actually really sad because this Jordana Tisha one has actually been discontinued now, and she's like reformulated with new packaging, but I absolutely adore this product. This one I think retailed at about £27, but since it's been discontinued I can't check anymore. And then this one here from Primark was about £3, £3.50 I think. But look at them next to each other. They're really similar. This might be tiniest bit warmer, but the actual formulas look really similar. Let's just do a quick swatch. They're both really creamy, which is why I like the products. This is a quick swatch of the two products next to each other. On the top, we've got the Primark one. On the bottom, we've got the Jordana Tisha one. They're very similar, but I want to see them on my face. So I'm going in with that Jordana Tisha one first. Absolutely stunning. And you don't need a lot of product because it is super pigmented. I'm just tapping this into my skin. I tap it on my jawline. That's how the Jordana Tisha one's looking. And now let's go in with the Primark. I do think the Primark is more pigmented, if I'm honest. Like, if you see there, it is super pigmented, so you need to use the tiniest bit and blend. Whereas I think it's a little bit more practical with the Jordana one because, like, you can just add bits up and layer it rather than it looking absolutely crazy. But this one does blend out really nicely. That's how it looks. I'm not entirely sure these two are a dupe, if I'm honest, now looking at them together on my face. I felt the Primark one is definitely way more pigmented. I might play a little bit more of that Jordana one just to see if we have more, if they do look a bit more similar. It's definitely a warmer shade, is that Primark one. Now blending out more, it does look a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit more of that Jordana one just to see how it looks. I feel like on my hand they look a lot more similar than they do on my face. Do you know what? They're not identical at all, but looking at myself in the mirror, they do look very similar. Like, I don't think it looks like I'm wearing two different bronzers. I feel like I might have had this one a little bit higher up. So I'm just going with my foundation brush. Just blend that foundation into it a little bit more. I think the next one might be the one that I'm most excited to try against each other. So we've got two jelly blushes here. Packaging's very similar. First one we've got is the Milk Makeup one. This is in the shade Splash. And then we've got this one by Revolution, which is in the shade Strawberry. Very similar packaging. This one is just a bit more like translucent, a lighter pink, it's a darker pink, but they're very similar. But I want to get into the actual products themselves. If you look at the actual products next to each other, they do look very different, but looking at the swatches, they do look a lot more similar. I'm going to try work quick with these because I don't want them to dry on my skin, so I'm going to do one at a time. I'm going to go firstly with the Milk one. I'm just going to apply this straight to my skin. I might do a couple of layers. We're just going to see how it goes. So this is the Milk. Super pretty. I'm going to leave it like that for now, but I'm going to see how the Revolution one looks because sometimes they're a little bit more pigmented, because I think the Revolution one is more pigmented than the Milk one. So I'm going to go with the Revolution. I can't believe the difference in the actual look of the product compared to how it looks when you apply it. So I'm not putting too much on there, just cleaning that brush off, and then I'll be honest, I think the Revolution one was a lot more pigmented, however it was so much harder to blend in. Like, it's taken me ages to blend that in compared to the Milk one. It's definitely more of a buildable formula, but it literally blended in like butter, like it melted into my skin. It was super easy to blend. And I do think this side looks better just from that blush, rather than this one with it taking more blending and being a bit harder to blend. I feel like it's kind of like just made it a little bit muddy and kind of like mucky, but I feel like putting that setting powder on will definitely help, which is on my next step. For setting powder, we've got Huda versus Collection. So this is the Huda Beauty Sugar Cookie Easy Bake Loose Baking Setting Powder versus the Filter Finish Loose Setting Powder in Translucent. So the shades are slightly different, but when you actually put them on the skin, they look very similar, I think. Well, when I swatched them on the back of my hand, they looked very similar. So the Huda one is £34. Versus the Collection being $4.99, so that is a huge price difference. I've had this since 2020, so I do love this product, I can't lie. I'm just tapping into this, and I'm just going to put it onto the back of my hand. There we go, and then I'm going to go straight in to my under eyes. These are two of my favourite under eye powders. I also love the Jordana Tisha and the What's Up Beauty. But these are unreal. Like, look at the way that's really helped to smooth out and just kind of like finish my makeup there. Like underneath here. Right, it's a little bit lighter than the other one, but for actual formula, I think they're so similar. It really helps to mattify my skin there. So that's how that looks. I'm just going to turn this inside out. I'm going to go in with the Collection one. So as you can see, it's a bit of a darker product, but it is supposed to be translucent. I feel like when you start to pat it out, like those are the two next to each other, when you start to pat it out, it really does kind of like blend in better. Again, I don't feel like at all that looks like I'm wearing two different setting powders. Slightly lighter on this side, and you can see it looks a little bit better on that side, but I think that was just the blush that made that look a lot more sculpted, whereas it went a little bit muddy on this side. But that isn't a problem. I'm just going to put a little bit more setting powder here. It is so similar. They are really so similar. I do like that. Putting a little bit more under my eye. Because I feel like with the Huda one, you don't need as much product. A little bit goes a long way, but I do prefer to use a little bit more with this Collection one. This is how it's looking, and I do really like it. I do definitely think they're dupe for each other. I was kind of struggling with the setting powders because I feel like I just don't feel like I have that many dupes for setting powders, and I'm very, very fussy when it comes to setting powder, so finding one that I like is quite difficult. Moving on to powder blush, these two are so similar. This is the NARS versus the Lacura, which is Ali's own makeup brand. The packaging is literally identical, and when we open it up, again, super similar. The colours, the shades, everything is literally the same. This has a massive swatch mark in it, but they are literally so similar. I'm gonna go in with the NARS quickly. Super pigmented, so I don't need that much. And it is just a stunning shade. Like, this is the viral one, obviously, and it is beautiful. I've just flipped that brush to try and get a little bit better with the application because that is super pigmented. Just wanted to blend that out a little bit, but that is absolutely stunning. Now I'm going in with the Lacura one. Again, look, super pigmented. They're both very similar in the formula. Ooh, that one is definitely different. The shade is pretty much identical, however, it is a lot more shimmery than the NARS one. Like, the NARS has like some shimmer in there, but this is like a full-blown highlight hybrid. Like, if you look at that, like, it's got a bit of shimmer, but it is definitely matte formula overall, but that, oh my days, that's literally a highlight hybrid. We're about to use highlight next as well. Okay, I'm just going to get some of the excess of this off my hand because that is super pigmented. And I'm just going to gently blend this out. I was going to go with the highlight dupe next, but because that's got so much shimmer in, I feel like it wouldn't be a fair test. So I think I'm going to save it for my next dupes video. But this one is so similar and you are not ready for it. I'm so excited for this. Next is mascara. So we've got the Benefit Roller Lash Mascara compared to the W7 mascara. This is their More Lashes mascara. Packaging is so similar. Like even the text is like in a really, really similar font. And when we open it up, the wands are literally identical. And this isn't the first time W7 have done Benefit dupes. They've done a lot of Benefit dupes, including other mascaras of theirs. So if you look at the wands up close, they are literally exactly the same. So this one on the left is the W7 and this one on the right is the Benefit. I want to test them out against each other. I've tried both these before, but I haven't used them like side by side. First I'm going in with the Benefit. I'll be honest, this is definitely one of my favourite, more expensive mascaras. Absolutely stunning. I'm going to zoom in a little bit just while I do the mascara. But it is really stunning, is that product. I'm going to go in with the W7 now. I don't think this one picks up anywhere near as much product as the Benefit one does. Yeah, like if you see there, that's not applied anywhere near as much product. I do like this mascara though. I've used this so many times. I think this is my second tube of it because it's super affordable. And like I said, it's got a really nice wand. They're definitely a dupe. I do think the Benefit one's better. I'm not gonna lie, I think my W7 one is starting to dry out now, but they're definitely a dupe for each other. Moving on to the last product, which is the lips. So I'm gonna use this lip oil here. So first we've got the Rare Beauty lip oil. This is stunning. I think it's a lip shine, I think they call it, and it's the Nearly Rose. And then we've got the Lacura one, very, very similar. This is Lacura Hydrate and Shine Tinted Lip Oil in the shade Pink Rose. Again, very similar. So when we open this up, I love the packaging for this. This is what this one looks like. And it's a similar applicator for the other one. However, it's a little bit more basic. Like this is more of your basic applicator, whereas this one's a lot more precise, which I love. So let's go in with the Rare Beauty first. I'm really hoping these actually match. Super hydrating, super shiny. Got that nice tint of colour, but it's not too extreme. So that's Rare Beauty. And now let's go in with the Lacura one. I feel like this is very clear that they're trying to be a dupe of Rare there, so I'm hoping the colour's similar. Although looking at it in there now, I feel like it's not going to be. Oh. Okay. That's definitely a way thinner, like way thinner consistency. Just grab my mirror so I can see a bit closer, but I'm not gonna lie, they are very, very similar. Like I don't think you'd be able to tell I'm wearing two different lip products there. They're very similar. I'd say that the Lacura one is definitely a little bit lighter and thinner in texture. I think looking at the makeup overall, I'm actually really impressed. I don't feel like it looks like I'm wearing like high-end on one side and drugstore on the other, like I'm wearing different makeup on both sides of my face. The only thing that does annoy me is this side here, where that Revolution blush just didn't blend out as well, so it's kind of ended up everywhere. I should have applied it straight to my brush and then to my face instead of like on my face initially. But we live and we learn. Overall, I'm really impressed. I think that's actually gone really, really well. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments any other dupes you want me to try or any other videos you want to see, things like that. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!